Hello, you guys. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome to A Case of the Mondays. My name is Kristen Feemster. I'm a licensed therapist and wellness coach, and I go live every Monday to help us get our minds right, get ourselves together around whatever is happening in life for the week ahead. So I'm looking forward to our conversation for today. And if you are new here, please, well, even if you're not new here, please let me know where you're joining in live from. Please share maybe an emoji. Maybe we should do an emoji today. Sometimes we do emojis, sometimes we do words, but if you could just drop in the chat an emoji that represents your mental health right now. I'm going to be kind of going a little bit more into my mental health bag for the content today, which I feel like is very appropriate. And so I'm curious, what is the energy of everyone in the room today? I anticipate talking for 15, 30 minutes maybe, and helping you guys kind of navigate what's going on currently. I am not the one to speak publicly about politics in particular. I don't feel like I'm the most educated person to do that, but I am a mental health professional, and I do know about how to handle things from a mental health perspective when it comes to the political climate and social unrest and large scale stressors like the one that we're under currently. And so I hope to be able to give you guys some suggestions and just some guidance, because I know not everybody is able to access therapy on a regular basis and do that weekly. I know sometimes when I go bi-weekly with some of my clients, it's just like, oh my gosh, 13 whole days, 14 whole days until our next session. It can feel like a lot. So you got to kind of a la carte your mental health game and like make sure that you're good. So I'm going to talk about that. I want to give you all some tips. I want to be clear. This is not a political conversation. I don't have the components to do that with you guys. I'm not going to put that additional expectation on myself. I think that what I hear in the social media world, and maybe it's just my algorithm, which we'll talk about. I got so many notes. I got so many things we need to talk about. Is this expectation that every person on social media would be having conversations about, what's currently going on. And I personally feel like that's a misuse of your platform. Everybody is not an expert at everything. I've been talking to my family about this. I just had to talk to my mom about something because there is a popular therapist, and there's no shade to this person in particular. There's a popular therapist that has been a bit more confrontational around the political tension that's been going on. And although that is true, that is only certain governing bodies allow therapists to show up in that way. And allow is, I guess, something to has some nuance to it. But not every governing body of a therapist is structured the same way. And so he was saying some things as if it was like a blanket statement for all therapists. And I was like, actually, not all therapists would handle it that way. Some of us, have a different level of ethical codes where, we just handle it differently. So anyway, I say all that to say, you guys, not everybody on social media is meant to be the voice of everything that's going on. Go to the trusted sources that you have. And I would specifically say, go to those sources that are regulated. Okay. There are going to be sources of information. I'm already getting into the tips. Sorry. There are going to be sources of information that are exasperating your emotions. And then there's going to be sources that are regulating it. And just because you're regulated doesn't mean you're not passionate. Doesn't mean that you don't care. It means that you are regulated. All right. So let's drop it in the chat. Your goal for today and every day forward is to regulate yourself first. Some people think if I am not completely consumed and just feeling it, from the bottom of my feet to the top of my head, and that means that I am passive. That means that I don't care. That means that I'm not involved. Or people think that because they feel that way, that means that they are doing something. And it's like, are you doing something or are you spinning your wheels? Okay. So our goal for today is regulation first. All right. I want y'all to hear that very clearly. Hear it very clearly. You got to regulate yourself first, whether you go run for president soon, or you write an article, or you call your government officials, whatever you do, you got to be regulated. You'll be your best self if you are regulated first. Okay. So I'm telling you guys that. I'm telling me that as someone who has therapy clients to manage. I'm responsible for helping other people continue to work towards their better self despite this, and there's a humanity behind that for me as well. But we are better when we are regulated. Just a disclaimer, I am a licensed therapist. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am working private practice. I put out wellness content. I speak on mental health topics, but this here live is not therapy. Okay, let's just get a disclaimer out there. I am not your therapist. And this is not therapy, although we are going to talk about some things to help you manage your mental health. Okay. I think it kind of goes maybe without saying, but I do think it's important to make that clear, because I think so many people cling to social media to get their support and their guidance. And so I want to be a part of that, but I want to make sure that the boundaries are clear. This is not therapy, but these are some of the tools that I do use in my therapy sessions. And if you're in the B3 crew, we talk about this stuff year round. It is not random. Okay. We talk about better habits. We talk about, journaling. We talk about stretching and positive thinking, and all the things that are going to be embedded into what I talk about today are talked about in my online community. So I never want to skip over highlighting that as a reasonable, affordable, realistic way to work on your mental and physical health in times like these, where everybody doesn't have $200 for a therapist and $100 per session for a personal trainer. It's like, okay, you don't have that, but what can you do? I made the B3 crew to be in that middle ground between a lot of hard things and a place to be. A lot of times, Leslie in particular was talking about just feeling zoned out, scattered, maybe difficult to focus. The purpose of my online community is to kind of give a place to be and to channel certain things in order to stay consistent while the rest of the world is doing what the world does. So it is no secret, what's occurring in Minnesota. It's no secret what's been occurring the last 5 years, if we're being honest, the last century, if we're being honest. It gets really deep. I have a lot of personal thoughts about what is happening collectively. But basically what we are seeing is the same system that we have been under this entire time be the same system that it's been this entire time. Now, where you are in waking up to that reality and taking that in on a personal level, I think that's what's maybe happening now, is that the reality of that has been true since we've all been born. First and foremost, if you're watching this live, what you're seeing today has been true since you were born. Okay. But how closely it's coming to your front doorstep and to where we can't ignore it and that sort of thing might be varying at different points. But this has always been true. And this is a symptom of a system that's been in place since America was established. Period. Full stop. We get in the live right there. So if you're trying to make sense of how did you're just waking up to the reality in some form or fashion. Okay. So in that way, some of the feelings that we have felt here recently have been warranted for a while. Okay. So let's just go ahead and say that, because I think maybe even that truth can help regulate things and allow us to have a different perspective that is a bit personal, my personal opinion. But that's also facts. So I don't really know how to tell y'all that any other way. But here's what I want you to do. What is not normal. Okay. So everything that we're experiencing is tracking for the society that we live in here in America. It is tracking it's on brand. It's on brand. It's on brand. It's been on brand. But what is not normal is our access to it via social media. There's always been media outlets. There's always been news. But the difference is that there's typically been a container for it. All right. So this is a strategy for you guys. All right. There used to be a built-in container for information, a process, a routine, a decision we had to make in order to be a part of the information in a way that is manageable for us. Okay. We used to have to go to the end of the driveway. I mean, that's not even that long ago. Go to the end of the driveway, pick up the newspaper, sit with the newspaper, look through this, look through that. We used to have to wait until 5 o'clock, turn on the news, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? There used to be a container for the information. All of this stuff has been going on. But the reality is that as soon as you pick up your smartphone, as soon as you turn on the TV, there is no container anymore. I literally just pulled up my laptop to type in google.com, or to type in my email, and I'm seeing stuff. It's like on the backdrop of, before I even type in a website, I'm seeing articles about this, you know what I mean? And so there's no container for the information anymore. And that is emotionally overwhelming. And so the first strategy I want to tell you guys about, which may seem obvious, but we all need a reminder, is that you need a container for the information that you're consuming. Some way, somehow, there needs to be a rhyme or reason to how you're consuming information and content on social media, and there needs to be boundaries with it as well. So that's going to look different for everybody. I can't really, I guess, for example, could be, I know there's a lot of videos circulating. I even myself was trying to kind of watch an interview on a news platform on YouTube, just to kind of get a pulse for like what was being said from some varying sides. And during the interview, the news, I'm trying not to mention where and how and all that kind of stuff. The news outlet continued playing the video from this weekend over and over and over again during the interview. So I wanted the commentary and to understand, what investigations have happened, where are they at with the process, all that kind of stuff. But I could not keep watching and hearing the video over and over and over. This was like a 20-minute interview. Okay. So the clips that they were showing were running on repeat behind it, noises and all, audio and everything behind it. Container, can't watch it, turn it off. I got to find something else. I did find another commentator on YouTube who feels regulated, who feels informative, who seems educated and well and knowledgeable about the topic. And so that's where I went. So the first thing I want you to do is think about, how am I containing my consumption of information? Am I doom scrolling? Am I all in everybody else's posts on social media rather than going to regulated sources of information? And if so, how can I set some boundaries with myself? Okay. Regulate yourself first. That is first and foremost. All right. If you're just joining in, welcome, you guys. I go live. My name is Kristen Feemster. I go live every Monday for a case of the Mondays. Today, I am giving you 3 therapist approved, therapist recommended strategies for managing your mental health while all this stuff is going on. Okay. So first and foremost, you got to find a container for the information you're consuming. Finding a container doesn't mean avoiding, doesn't mean, ignoring. It doesn't mean anything else that you may flip it into or may want to containing. So stay informed. You just need a container for it. When, how, and where do I want to get my information? And how can I hold myself accountable to letting that be enough? So maybe it's, I check the news in the morning and then I check for updates in the evening, but I'm not just constantly in it all day, every day. Social media makes that hard because they want you to stay in the doom scroll. The longer you stay in the doom scroll, the longer you stay on the apps, and the longer you stay on the apps, the longer the powers that be in meta world make money. So it's very hard. You got to get yourself off of the drug of social media, especially when things like this happen. You can't escape it, but you need to contain it. All right, number 2. All right, are we listening? Are we listening? Are we here? Are we here? What's the main idea for today? Who's been paying attention? Let me see who's been paying attention here. What is the main idea of this whole live? Can I hear? Put y'all on the spot. All right. Engage with me. I'm struggling too. I'm trying to show up for you guys. Showing up for you guys. What is the main theme of all of this? I said it at the beginning. If you were here since the beginning, you would have heard it. If you're newer here, wait for somebody else to comment. Because anybody dropping in the chat. This is how you make sure people are listening. I need these tips too. But this is for you guys. Managing your mental health. Yes, that's the cousin. It's all the same stuff. That's the answer. Regulating your emotions. Managing your mental health means regulating your emotions. So just basically managing your mental health can definitely feel it's like, oh, that's good. That's it. But it's just like, okay, I'm managing my mental health. How? I think that's where we have to go down a layer into what does that actually mean? Okay, so managing my mental health means that my emotions have to stay regulated. All right, let's pull back the layers again. How am I regulating my emotions? I'm containing my social media content to a place that I can manage. All right. That is no longer being done for us. We have to do it. We have to do it. The next thing is understanding your locus of control. All right. Most of us are probably feeling out of control some way, some form. All right. By way of everything that's going on and being inundated with information. All right. You've got to figure out your locus of control. I want to give you guys a exercise that you can do in order to do this. All right. So everybody get out, if you can, get out a piece of paper and a pen, or at least make a mental note. And while you do that, go ahead and grab your water too. Mm-hmm. We've got to continually come back to our locus of control. This is an exercise I do with a lot of my therapy clients to help them take what seems like it's just spinning and spiraling in their head, get it out, put it on paper, and then separate out what they can control versus what they cannot control. It does not mean you care any less. I want to repeat that because I feel like sometimes people think that if they're just in their feelings about it and they're just stewing in it, they feel productive and they feel invested. And the reality is that if everybody was in, I think our administration is an example of people that are in their emotions and just going off of their emotions. Now, we can't understand fully where their emotions are coming from, but that's an example of somebody who's not regulated. All right. That's literally the best example. All right. So you've got to come into your locus of control. All right. What you're going to do, you can do a line down the middle of the paper, or you can do a circle in the middle of the paper, but you're going to write, let's say for the circle, you're going to put a circle in the center of your paper and write in my control. All right. And on the outside, you're going to write out of my control. And then I want you to just do a brain dump. I want you to do a brain dump of everything that's worrying you. You could do this second, or actually you could do this first and then transfer it. But for the sake of today, circle in the middle of the paper. Inside the circle is what I can control. Outside of the circle is what I cannot control. Then do a brain dump. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. This is on my mind. This is stressing me out. These are things that I have to do. These are things that are, weighing heavy, and you're going to place them. This exercise requires you to decide what side they're on. In your mind, everything's in there together. Everything's just flipping and rolling around together, and you can't make sense of it. It's overwhelming you, and it's making you emotionally overwhelmed, and reactive, perhaps. All right. So by taking those things, those thoughts, those worries, and putting them inside or outside, you're already channeling your focus into what you can control. All right. So once you've done that, that might take 10, 15 minutes. You might have to do this multiple times. Then you're going to go to your center circle and figure out what you can control. And you're going to do, depending on your capacity, you're going to do 1 to 3 things. Okay. In that moment, like immediately. Okay. Some days you might be able to do 3. Okay. Some days you might just only have the capacity to do 1. But what you cannot do is continue to have all of this worry jumbled up in your head and rumbling around, causing you suffering. Okay. So that is an exercise that I use with my clients to help them regulate their emotions and manage their anxiety. Here are all the things that I'm worrying about that I literally cannot control. I'm not going to ignore them. I'm not going to suppress them. They're on the page just as much as the things that are within my control, but I've got to understand the difference between what I can do and what I cannot do. It's acceptance. It's radical acceptance. And then once you get your things in the circle, you are going to figure out one thing that you can do, one or a couple of things, maybe a couple of things, and you will focus on those things. Focus on those things just for the moment that you're in. Renette says, repeat it for me, please. Let me know what I'm repeating. I guess I'm a little lagged with the, what do you mean, Renette? What do you want me to repeat? I'm not sure. So yes, that's the second thing. Let's go on to the third. Renette, let me know what you're curious about, and I don't mind. I will do a recap of all of them. But let's go on to the third thing. And really, there's not a particular order. I would say number one, you got to contain the content for sure. These next two, interchangeable to be used whenever you feel like you need it, but you have got to get clear on how you feel. Leslie chimed in with her specific words of sad, scared, lacking focus, those sorts of things. You got to be clear on how you feel. All right. If you are checked out and not addressing how you feel, you are not only creating a mental health deficit for yourself now, but you're setting yourself up for increased mental health issues down the road. And this doesn't just mean a diagnosis of any sort. This is about the health of your mind and your emotions. All right. So we're not saying you're going to, come have depression if you don't deal with it. We're not saying that necessarily. We are saying, how are you maintaining mental wellness, emotional wellness? And if you're not able or willing or regularly tapping into, how am I feeling? What is that feeling? What is that feeling? You're more or less leaving yourself hanging. Do not emotionally abandon yourself in times of stress. I know it seems like we have to kind of just operate regardless and just figure it out. And sometimes you will have to be on autopilot, but you've always got to come back to sitting with yourself, taking care of yourself. And if you don't know how you feel, you won't be able to do that. All right. And so this can be done in the morning. Maybe perhaps that might be the best time to do it before you get your day started, but really it could be at any point in the day. How am I feeling? Like, what's coming up for me? Okay. I think my feeling that I have honed in on for me is feeling depleted and exhausted, but in a way that's a little bit more long term and chronic. Okay, that takes a different strategy. But if I'm just saying, man, I'm just irritable, I just feel some kind of way, then now you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So you really got to get clear. How are you feeling? Get out the feelings wheel. We've talked about that before, but if you're new here, feelingswheel.com will give you, I imagine there's got to be 100 feelings on that wheel alone that can help you just name. There's so much power in regulating your emotions by naming them. When there's not a name for them, it is hard to understand what the solutions might be, what the coping strategies might be. Naming and awareness really in and of itself helps you to regulate. And then from there, you got to continue to ground yourself. You got to ground yourself physically and emotionally based on how you're feeling. Do a mind-body connection. I'm feeling depleted. I feel that in my body in this place and in that place. It's the second step. And then do something to regulate yourself from that information. This is where our healthy practices come in. All right, you might feel like, oh, I'm feeling super stressed. I'm feeling out of control. Here's what I can do. I can go for a walk with no distractions. Just the clean air, the sun, whatever you got going on. I know some of us are still in the ice storm, but whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? You can actually meet the needs that you have once you're clear on what to do. And grounding is usually a part of what we need, especially in times like this. How can I ground myself? This is the emotion that's coming up for me. Here's how it's showing up in my body. And the next thing I need to do is ground. I need to deep breathe. I need to go for a walk. I need to stretch. I need to do something, because if I stay up here and just circling and circling and circling and circling, I'm going to continue to feel overwhelmed. And I'm going to continue to feel dysregulated. It's only when we connect that mind body connection that's when we're able to best regulate ourselves. Whisper says, just popped in, glad I caught the live. Thank you Whisper, for being here. We are talking about how to manage our mental and emotional well-being with the current climate. And when I say current climate, I use big time air quotes, because I feel like the current climate has been the climate historically. So the historical climate, maybe we should say it that way. All right. So we're talking about what, this is just my three. I'm a licensed therapist and I'm a wellness coach. So I have plenty of experience with helping people figure out how to regulate their emotions. So my theme for today is, this is not a political conversation. This is about how to navigate what is. Some of us will protest. Some of us will call our government officials. Some of us will have a conversation with some of us will give back in some sort of way, but all of us have to be regulated in order to do that well. Okay, so whatever you decide to do in your pursuit of advocacy and to be a part of the solution, you've got to be regulated first. We are seeing great examples, unfortunate examples of what happens when people are not regulated and they're making decisions unregulated. So even if we're justified, even if our passion is placed in a different direction, being dysregulated in that is not the best approach. Regulate first and then act. Okay. So the refresher is number one is you got to contain your content, contain your media outlets, whatever you need to do. In days past, there was already natural built-in containers for how we got information. The physical newspaper, watching the news at a certain period of time. Now, as soon as you open Instagram, the first article is giving you, the first post is giving you something. Or even if you look at Google, just randomly type in yahoo.com, it's all the articles. You go to Facebook, it's everybody's opinion. There's no container. All right. And I believe that's perpetuating the emotions that we feel in the dysregulation of ourselves collectively. So that means maybe not watching the videos over and over and over again. If you feel like you want to watch it the first time, there's nothing wrong with being informed and seeing for yourself what has happened, but perhaps you don't need to watch it over and over and over again to a place where it's leaving you dysregulated. All right. That's number one. Number two is practicing the locus of control, where you are going to literally do an exercise of taking all of your thoughts, all of your burdens, and you're going to put them in a container where you can focus your energy. You're going to write a circle on a sheet of paper. Inside is going to be what's within my control, physically in the circle, right? This is a visualization of what you can do emotionally and with your behaviors as well, okay? And then on outside of your control, it's going to be things that are outside of your control. You do a brain dump, and you start putting things where they belong. Okay. I cannot control this part, but I can control this step. I can't control this bigger issue, but I can control this step. Okay. We cannot control who is currently in the White House, but we can control calling our local government officials. Boom. All right. So the more I start spinning my wheels about how he shouldn't be there and how he got there and they shouldn't have whatever. Yes, that is spinning your wheels. What can you do? Okay. Bring it back to what you can do. That's the second thing. The third thing is getting clear on how you feel, making the mind body connection, and then grounding yourself physically from that awareness. It's kind of a 3-step process, but it's all rooted in the same element of grounding. Without knowing how you're feeling, you don't know what you're trying to ground. You're just out here. Okay. So there's got to be a rhyme or reason to what you are grounding around. And so getting clear on how you feel, maybe you feel hopeless, maybe you feel helpless, maybe you feel frustrated. And then from there, how can I ground this emotion? It's taking over me. It's overwhelming me. What can I do to ground this emotion in my body? Okay. Those are the 3 things. Therapist approved tips. I hope that was helpful to you all. If you are interested in staying connected with me, I have a newsletter that I send out. You can become a subscriber. This is not a Substack. It's just an informative, free newsletter that's connected with me. I know how social media can be about sending you guys posts and things. You can become a member of my of the boardroom, which is my broadcast channel. Are some of you on my broadcast channel? I would imagine so. You're welcome. You're welcome. Is anybody in my broadcast channel that's on live? Is it sending you stuff? Like, are you getting the stuff? I'm trying to use that more to really hone in on the people who are actually locked in with my content, on a different level, and make sure you guys are aware. So I just want to make sure that's working how it's supposed to work. I'm going to try to do better. But y'all are okay. Good. Do y'all like the name? I don't know if we talked about the name of the boardroom, board of directors. Maybe we did. But I just thought that was a cool way to kind of, bring that in a little bit. But yes, you can become a subscriber, join my broadcast channel. If you're ready to take things deeper, I absolutely have services and a community that can help you in particular with all of your wellness goals. I am a licensed therapist, and so I do offer therapy to people located in North Carolina and South Carolina. But if you are not, and you still could use the support of a coach or someone who is a professional in the space, I do have an online community where I provide workout plans, I provide wellness courses, all the things that we are basically seeking in order to feel more in control and more regulated and more aligned, in our lives. Thank you so much for joining me live. I will be back next week. Whispers, thank you so much. Yes, I'm so glad that you were able to join in. I go live every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we just talk about getting ourselves together for the week. So this was what was on my mind this week, and so I definitely wanted to highlight it. We'll see what's going on next week. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I will see you guys later. All right. Bye.